Your emotions can be stolen without you realizing it. Sometimes the person closest to you is quietly controlling your feeling. They smile, they care, but deep inside, they are rewriting your reality. This isn't mind control from a movie. It's happening in everyday life, at work, in relationships, even with friends. You may already be a victim. What if I told you that your choices are not always yours? What if someone is silently pulling the strings behind your decision? Most people never notice manipulation until it's too late. But once you see the signs, you can never unsee them. Today, we'll uncover the 7 hidden forms of emotional manipulation that people unknowingly face every single day. We often believe we're in control of our emotion. We think every reaction we have, every choice we make, is truly ours. But the truth is far more unsettling. Emotional manipulation works in silence, in the shadows of daily interaction. It's not always loud or obvious. It's subtle, quiet, and invisible to the untrained eye. You may feel guilty without knowing why. You may agree to something you don't actually want. You may even question your own reality because someone made you doubt yourself. This is a dangerous power of manipulation. It bends your emotions to someone else's advantage. And the scariest part? It often comes from the people we trust most. Think about your closest relationships, family, friends, partners, colleagues. Each one has a potential to shape your emotions in ways you don't fully see. Sometimes they do it without knowing. Other times it's intentional, crafted to gain control over you. It could be a partner making you feel guilty for wanting independence. It could be a boss using flattery to make you work harder for less. It could even be a friend who keeps you trapped in cycles of doubt and dependence. No one is fully immune. Psychologists say manipulation works best when the victim doesn't realize it's happening. That's why it's so effective. It makes you believe the emotions are yours when in reality, they've been engineered. Imagine thinking you're making a free choice when actually someone else planted that idea in your head. Imagine trusting someone deeply, only to realize they've been twisting your emotion for years. It's a terrifying thought, but also an empowering one. Because once you understand these tactics, they lose their power over you. That's why learning about emotional manipulation isn't just psychology, it's survival. In relationships, it protects your boundary. At work, it helps you stand your ground. And in everyday life, it allows you to recognize when someone is steering your emotions for their own benefit. Today's breakdown will give you the knowledge to see through the invisible strings and cut them before they control your life. The term emotional manipulation may sound like a complex psychological phrase, but at its core, it's very simple. It's when someone plays with your feelings to serve their own need. Instead of asking directly, they twist your emotions until you give in. Instead of respecting your choices, they bend your reality until you doubt yourself. And the worst part? They often do in ways that look like love, care, or even kindness. Emotional manipulation is not new. It has existed as long as human relationships themselves. From ancient political leaders to modern-day marketers, people have always found ways to control emotions. Think about propaganda in history. It was designed to stir fear, hope, or loyalty. The same mechanics still operate today, just in more personal and intimate ways. Psychologists explain that manipulation thrives on 3 things. First, trust. The manipulator needs you to let your guard down. Second, confusion. They blur the lines so you can't clearly tell what's happening. And third, control. They gain influence over your decisions without you realizing it. Here's the catch. Emotional manipulation doesn't always feel negative at first. It can come dressed as flattery, compliments, or even acts of affection. But slowly, it makes you dependent. You begin to seek validation from a manipulator instead of trusting yourself. Your confidence weakens while their control grows stronger. Consider gaslighting, for example. This is one of the most famous forms of manipulation. It makes you question your memory, your perception, even your sanity. A manipulator may deny events that clearly happened. They may twist your words until you feel like you're the problem. And eventually, you stop trusting your own judgment altogether. That's emotional manipulation in action. It rewires how you see yourself. But gaslighting is only one form. There are many others, often hidden in plain sight. Some rely on guilt. Some use fear. Others exploit your natural need for love, approval, and connection. Each one creates an emotional trap. And unless you learn how to recognize these traps, you may live inside them without ever knowing. This is why uncovering the 7 forms of emotional manipulation is so important. Because once you know the forms, you'll see them everywhere, at work, at home, even in friendships. And the moment you can name them, you gain power over them. Knowledge becomes your shield. Awareness becomes your first act of resistance. So let's break down these 7 hidden forms and reveal how they operate silently in everyday life. The first form is gaslighting. It's when someone makes you question your own memory or perception. They say things like, "That never happened," even when it clearly did. Over time, you start doubting yourself more than them. This gives them the power to define your reality. The second form is guilt tripping. This happens when someone uses guilt as a weapon to control you. They remind you of everything they've done for you just to make you feel obligated. You agree to things out of guilt, not because you want to. Slowly, your decisions stop being yours. The third form is silent treatment. Instead of addressing issues, manipulators withdraw affection and communication. The silence isn't peace, it's punishment. You begin to feel anxious, desperate for their approval again. It makes you chase them, giving them the upper hand. The fourth form is playing the victim. Here, the manipulator pretends to be helpless or mistreated. They flip the script so you feel responsible for their pain. Your sympathy becomes their tool. And while you comfort them, they quietly control the relationship dynamic. The fifth form is love bombing. It starts with overwhelming affection, compliments, and attention. It feels magical, like you're finally valued. But once you're hooked, the affection is pulled back. This creates emotional dependence, making you crave their approval again and again. The sixth form is excessive criticism, disguised as help. The manipulator constantly points out your flaws, but says it's for your own good. At first, it feels like advice, but slowly, it erodes your confidence. You start believing you're not enough unless they validate you. And finally, the seventh form is fear-based manipulation. This could be subtle threats, intimidation, or reminding you of what you might lose. It doesn't have to be physical. It could be emotional or financial fear. The fear makes you obey without question because the risk of losing them or something valuable feels too high. Each of these 7 forms seems different, but they all share one goal: control. They trap you in emotional cycles where you're too confused, guilty, or scared to resist. And unless you recognize them, you might spend years living under someone else's influence. How do you know if you're facing emotional manipulation? The first sign is constant self-doubt. If you often question your own memory or judgment after conversation, it's a red flag. You may feel like you can't trust yourself anymore. The second sign is feeling guilty for no reason. You apologize too often, even when you've done nothing wrong. Somehow, the manipulator always makes you feel at fault. This guilt keeps you under their control. The third sign is walking on eggshells. You carefully choose your words and actions just to avoid upsetting them. This shows they've trained you to fear their reaction. The fourth sign is overdependence on approval. You start craving their validation more than your own self-respect. A small compliment from them feels like oxygen, while silence feels like suffocation. The fifth sign is isolation from others. Manipulators often push you away from supportive friends and family. They want to be the only voice in your life. If you notice your circle shrinking, it's intentional. The sixth sign is confusion after argument. You enter an argument confident, but leave questioning if you were wrong. That's manipulation, twisting reality until you can't see straight. The seventh sign is emotional roller coasters. One moment they shower you with love, the next they withdraw completely. This hot and cold behavior keeps you addicted, hoping the good version will return. The eighth sign is fear of losing. Even when they hurt you, the thought of walking away terrifies you. They've tied your sense of security to their presence. The ninth sign is feeling drained after interaction. Instead of joy or connection, you leave conversations feeling exhausted. That's because your emotions are being pulled and manipulated. And the 10th sign is loss of identity. You can't recognize yourself anymore. You've changed just to keep the peace. Your opinions, desires, even personality feel muted. It's as if their shadow has replaced your voice. If these signs feel familiar, it's not because you're weak. It's because manipulation is designed to be invisible, and spotting it is the first step to breaking free. The first step to defending yourself is awareness. The moment you can name manipulation, its power starts to fade. Remember, recognition is the beginning of freedom. The second defense is setting clear boundaries. Say no without guilt when something feels wrong. Boundaries are not selfish. They are protection for your mental health. The third defense is trusting your intuition. If something feels off, it usually is. Don't ignore that inner alarm, because manipulators thrive when you silence it. The fourth defense is seeking outside perspective. Talk to a trusted friend, mentor, or therapist. Manipulation isolates you. Outside voices can help you see clearly again. The fifth defense is staying calm during manipulation attempts. Manipulators feed on strong emotional reaction. When you remain calm and composed, their tactics lose effectiveness. The sixth defense is keeping records of conversations. If manipulation is constant, write down what was said or note how you felt afterward. This helps you separate truth from the distortions they try to create. The seventh defense is building self-confidence daily. The stronger your self-worth, the harder it is for someone to twist your emotion. Read, learn, and affirm your value regularly. The eighth defense is limiting exposure. If someone constantly manipulates you, create distance when possible. Space gives you clarity and protects your mental energy. And finally, the strongest defense is choosing yourself. Remember that no relationship is worth losing your peace of mind. You are allowed to walk away, and you're allowed to prioritize your own well-being. When you combine awareness with action, emotional manipulation loses its grip. You become the master of your emotions, not the puppet of someone else. Emotional manipulation hides in plain sight. It wears a mask of love, care, or concern. But underneath, its goal is always the same: control. You've now seen the 7 forms that silently shape people's emotions: gaslighting, guilt, silence, flattery, fear. All tools designed to trap the mind. But once you recognize them, you can break free. Awareness is power, boundaries are strength, and self-respect is your ultimate shield. So ask yourself, are your emotions truly yours? Or are they being shaped by someone else's invisible hand? If this breakdown opened your eyes, imagine what else you can learn. Subscribe for more deep psychology insights, and take control of your mind before someone else does. Because the greatest victory is not controlling others, it's mastering yourself.